Now, the Palin Update with Kevin Scholla presents Liberty and Legacy. Here's Tamara Culbert.
Liberty and legacy is very important to me. As Americans, our forefathers, well, really my grandfather, Captain Miles Standish, came to this new land on the Mayflower, wanting to create a new legacy in liberty. This week, my twins, my husband and I, our twins turned 10 years old. It's amazing. That first decade of their life has been spent under a tyrannical president, a president who operates with his pen and his phone instead of using his office to uphold the Constitution and unite Americans. I'm raising our three boys in a land founded on the premise of liberty. That's the legacy I want to leave them when I take my last breath. I imagine you want the same exact thing for your kids and grandkids and everyone else that you love. Right now, I tell you this on a regular basis, we are in a fight for liberty, a fight for the very heart and soul of our nation. What we are witnessing right now in Iowa is politics as a full contact sport. Of course, you know that I'm referring to this week's endorsement of Donald Trump by Governor Sarah Palin. But what's been amazing to me is the absolute vitriol against her for that endorsement, mostly from those on the right, with those on the left taking those quotes and blowing them out of proportion and saying, see, look at this or look at that, and trying to break us apart as a conservative body. Politics brings out the beast in everyone, especially the pundits and political hacks who think they know everything but have never actually done anything. What I want to say to those of you who are questioning why Governor Palin would choose Donald Trump over, say, Senator Ted Cruz, is that this is somehow going to polarize conservative voters. But really, did you know that only 1% of the nation's delegates are chosen by the Iowa State Convention? Iowa merely serves as an early indication of which candidates might win the nomination by their party. But of course, this isn't an exact science. And if we look at the last several elections, no one that won Iowa went on to last more than a month in other caucuses and didn't even come close to winning the nomination. But what is critical is to vote for a Republican president in 2016. And of course, we all have our favorites. But regardless of how badly they get bashed or beat up by the competition, there will remain only one option when our nominee is official. And that is that we all must unite and stand together behind that candidate in order to reach everyone humanly possible. Register neighbors and colleagues to vote. Sign up, making calls from that candidate's office. Walk precincts, donate money, and get out the vote on election night in 2016, because we must have a total blitz of conservatives and grassroots and common sense Americans putting their line in the sand against the failed policy of the Democrats and socialists who would like to take what little liberty we have left. Aren't you tired of free stuff? Aren't you tired of the government taking your tax dollars and giving it to morons who don't want to work, who hate America, who badmouth us, who jump rope, who smoke dope and badmouth our country? Thank you, Grandpa. Last week, I sat by the hospice bed of my cousin, who at 54 was dying of an incurable cancer. But what was remarkable and special about what should have been a terrible experience was inspirational to me. She inspired me because we laughed, we cried, we read our Bible, and we wondered what heaven would be like. And that's when it hit me that we shared a legacy, that on her deathbed, she could be thankful and grateful. She didn't live an oppressed life. She lived in America. She grew up in America. And she got to live her life on her terms. What I witnessed during my cousin's final days was this incredible, indomitable spirit, this bright light. And I couldn't help but wonder, what kind of legacy will I leave behind? And am I grateful for the things that I've been blessed with in the same way that on her deathbed, in more pain than I can bear, she was thankful, she was grateful, she was humble. She loved her family and this country. It is my prayer this week that we can take a look at Philippians 2. I ask you to look at that this week, and specifically 14 through 16. And I want to quote, "Do all things without grumbling or disputing, that you may be blameless and innocent, children of God without blemish in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation, among whom you shine as lights to the world, holding fast to the word of life, so that in the day of Christ I may be proud that I did not run in vain or labor in vain." My goodness, I hope that I don't do that. And I'm going to do everything possible right here, right now, in 2016, to know that I'm not going to grumble. I'm not going to dispute. I'm certainly not innocent or blameless, but with God's grace, I can be. And I'm going to do everything I can every single day to shine as that light to the world. That light of liberty. I believe that America right now needs each one of us to be our own beacon of light, to shine positively upon our countrymen in order to influence them. Do not let the negativity of the mainstream media pile on of one candidate or another distract you from the most important business of getting a common sense candidate elected who can not just unite us, but who can do the right things in office for the will of the people, for the betterment of America, and for our future, for our legacy, for our posterity, so that we can grow and compete on the world stage in all aspects of economics, of safety and security, of a unification, of a witness to what the free market and what Americans can do when they are given the chance. Don't worry about endorsements. Don't even worry about polling. The most important thing is to think. Think for yourself, study, look at all the candidates, question everything. And support Governor Palin. Send her a note. Tell her that you're behind her. Don't let her be discouraged. And send a note to your candidate. Don't let them be discouraged, but continue to move forward. I want to know what you think of Sarah's endorsement of Trump. Tweet me at Tamara Culbert, # Mama Grizzly Radio. Have a great week.
Tamara Culbert in Texas. Tune in for more Liberty and Legacy next week. And to learn about Convention of States, head to conventionofstates.com. Now our weekly commentary, Steel Resolve. Here's Sarah Steelman.
Thanks, Kevin. Just like most things these days, nobody seems to accurately depict this administration's foreign policy. But let's call it like it is. A ransom is a sum of money or other payment demanded or paid for the release of a prisoner. One of the synonyms used for the term ransom could be payoff. The 4 U.S. citizens that Iran kidnapped were released for a ransom paid by this administration in the form of the release of 7 criminals, dismissal of charges against 14 wanted criminals, and $150 billion cashola. I'd call that a hefty ransom. So once again, this administration has succumbed to the demands of terrorists, thereby encouraging terrorist cells all over the world to kidnap American citizens. We would call their actions a positive incentive in economics. Then to top it off, Secretary of State John Kerry actually conceded that some of the $150 billion could go to groups considered terrorists. But there was absolutely nothing, of course, that the United States could do about it. Obama, Kerry, and Hillary are all responsible for this feckless foreign policy. Let's pray we don't have another 8 years of this, because our very survival and safety as a nation is at stake. This is Sarah Steelman from Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tune in again next week for another segment of Steel Resolve right here on the Palin Update. The Palin Update, including Liberty and Legacy and Steel Resolve, is on demand and available for download. So just head to mamagrizzlyradio.com, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit mamagrizzlyradio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook and follow along on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Tamara Culbert, and at Sarah_Steelman. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Go to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. I want to thank Sarah Steelman, Tamara Culbert, and everyone at Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks to Donald Trump and Governor Sarah Palin. And thank you for listening today. A special thanks to our sponsor, Narrowgate Security Agency. Visit narrowgate.com. The Palin Update is produced by Lena Anderson, the Andy L. Kramer, and Lori Ann Lewis. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.